Good afternoon, students and pilot teachers. Okay, this lesson will begin by having the revisions from previous lessons that you had. Okay, so we'll begin with question number 8, question 9, and question 10. So you have already got the questions done, so we'll answer those questions as we go. Okay, question number 8. Explain how the feature mentioned in question 7 develops. And we'll have one student to answer that question. Okay. Moses?
Point bars. Sediments transported by stream are often deposited temporarily along stream course. Point bars are depositional features formed by deposited sediments, usually sand and gravel.
Thank you. Now let's check the answer. Okay. Point bars in this case are basically formed from the deposition of materials on the convex bank of the river or of a river. And in this case, if we look at the meandering river here, what we see here is that if you look at the flows of the river, okay, it fastest on the convex side of the river. Okay, the flow of the river on the concave or convex, side of the river is very slow. So what we have here is basically erosion taking place on the convex side of the river bank, and it is being deposited on the convex side, forming the point bars. And question number 9 basically reads, what are the actions of a river of this type? And in this case, we have one student to answer that question.
Erosion is dominant along the concave banks and deposition is dominant on the convex banks.
Thank you. Okay, let's check the answer. Okay, what we have here is actually two processes taking place. Okay, we have erosion taking place as well as deposition also taking place. So the two actions of the river in this case is erosion and deposition. Okay, let's move on to question number 10 from your revision. Okay, question number 10 reads, in time, the large bend in this river will be cut through along a line near to the line XY. Explain how the river will achieve this and name the various river features that will develop during the process. Okay. One student to answer this question.
The continuous erosion on the concave bank cutting through the neck will form an oxbow lake.
Thank you. Okay, let's see what we have for the answers. Okay, what we have here is that continuous, okay, erosion and basically breaking down of rocks leads to what we have is that there will be a cutoff along XY. Okay, it leads to a new formation of new channel here forming, and the original channel becomes now what we know as the oxbow lake. Okay, there's a feature of a bow being formed here. Okay, so that is called the oxbow lake. We will also have further erosion taking place along the new bank, and also deposition also taking place. Okay. Now, today's lesson is continuing denudation, and our case study basically will be on Colorado River. And for pilot teachers, if you have any case study rivers that you have information to, you can also use that one. For this period, this lesson, in this case, we are using the Colorado River. Okay, rivers are very important to many people. Okay, it's very important because river is a source of life. Okay, and if we look at river in this case, around the world, they play a very important role in the lives of people. Okay, so what we have here is basically the world's river system. And in this case, the river system that we have, or river basins that we have, are basically utilized by men, okay, in whatever purpose that they have. And in this case, if we look at the map here, it tells us various rivers that we have in the world, and these rivers are actually utilized by people, okay. Examples are given here. Our case study will be basically concentrating on Colorado, okay, in this case, how this river is very important to the people in the United States and also Mexico. Okay, let's see some features or information that are of interest to us concerning our case study, Colorado. Okay, the Colorado is basically the longest river in the United States, or United States of America, 2,320 kilometers. Okay. Colorado is one of the world's most disputed rivers, since its river is shared by 7 American states and also Mexico. Now, it's one of the world's most disputed rivers. What do we mean by disputed rivers? Disputed rivers simply means that if you look at it, there are 7 North American states and 1 country, which is Mexico, using that same river, and river becomes so scarce. Okay, everyone wants to use that river. That's why it's becoming a disputed river. Okay. Much of the water from Colorado is used that only a trickle reaches the sea. If you look at the information, 7 states of America uses the water, and also Mexico. Okay. What we find is that all the water is used for irrigation and also for hydroelectricity. Okay, the flow down to the mouth of the river becomes smaller because it is being used. Okay. The Colorado has been dammed at several points to generate hydroelectricity and provide irrigation water for intensive agriculture. That's the use of this water. That's why at the mouth of the river it becomes so small. Okay, the flow becomes so small. Okay. The river has an ice spring and summer discharge because of the effect of melting snow and ice runoff from thunderstorm. Okay, we have 2 seasons there, spring and summer. Okay, summer temperature is very high. So as spring. Spring is the beginning where temperature begins to rise, and as such, we have melting of the snow taking place. That's why the river basically has a high peak during those 2 seasons. Okay. The use of Colorado River. In this case, what we find here is the river running straight down to Gulf of California. Along the river channel here, we have in the box here 3 dams built there by the people. Okay. Okay, we have the Parker Dam, Palo Verde Dam, and Imperial Dam. Okay, those are used for generating electricity as well as used for irrigation. Okay, so if you look at the runoff, starting from where it starts there, up there, down, you find that when it reaches the mouth, the flow is very small, simply because there are lots of dams built along that river. Okay, so water is basically in this area. Colorado is very important to 7 states as well as Gulf of Mexico. Okay. Again, if you look at how the water is being used, if you look at it, dam is built, more water is stored there. As it comes down, another dam is built, more water is stored there. As it comes down, another dam is built, again, water is being stored there. And if you look at it, less is coming down to the mouth of the river. Okay, so the use of Colorado River is, again, very important. Now, if you look at the impact of that on the use of water, what we see here is that as more dams are built, we see a lot of things occurring on the river channel here. Okay, what we see first is a reduced river flow. Okay, more dams are built means the flow of river basically reduces. Okay, what we find here, sediments concentration fell by 200%. Okay, if there was no dam, then we have flow of water, more sediments will be built up. But then what we see is that the flow of water basically reduces. Then basically the sediments concentration also falls. Okay, flow peak smoothen out and now depends on much more on when electricity is wanted, such as peak times on weekdays. Okay, the more electricity we use, the more water is being utilized. Okay, alluvial terraces once covered by the river, much of the time have been eroded by the wind. What we see is that because of the reduced river flow, okay, the alluvial terraces once covered by water. Okay, okay, alluvial terraces means fine sediments that are laid across the water bank. Okay, what happens is that the flow of water basically reduces. Now you have an exposure of the sediments. Okay, now they are there. That means they will be eroded by wind this time. Okay, and freshwater fish suited to habitat with turbulent water have been replaced by those preferring cleaner waters, such as the trout. Okay, in this case, those animals that require turbulent waters, okay, very rough waters, will now extinct themselves or basically leave that area because the water is now fine, slow. That's why they will leave that area, and now it will be replaced by those animals or fish that basically require or prefer cleaner waters and basically gentle flow of waters. Okay, class, that brings us to the end of the lesson. Okay, our keyword for today is Colorado. Okay, good afternoon, teacher, and also students.